Alright, so it's been about a week since the latest devblog has been published, and people have been asking me what my take is on this devblog. Devblog 25 opens up with a really nice picture of a lot of new bots. I'm liking that the game is finally getting some new bots, although from first appearances, it looks like they're just iterating on previous designs. So just new versions of tote bots, new versions of tape bots, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's any new bot designs. Not like we've seen in previous devblogs with like the cable bots and stuff like that. Calling all mechanics, we are back! After spending the last few months in the content okay, the first 2 sentences and I'm already done. I don't want to read any more text. I think I'm just going to look at all the pictures of this devblog and treat this devblog like they just dropped a picture album. I think I'm going to look at that first and then get back to the text. So next picture, we got a new variation of the tote bot. It looks like a sprongy doingy kind of guy. I go sprongy doingy goingy boingy. So this is interesting. They're introducing a new mechanic for the player to deal with enemies. And it shows this guy can destroy some very destructible stuff, some very weak materials. It looks like even the scrap wood survives a little bit better. So they're not that strong, but they certainly look strong. Look at that. Okay, this picture I think is a little bit silly. I think they over-exaggerated the animation. I think a wobbly, dizzy animation should be a little cartoony, but I think this is going overboard a little bit. I think they could have been a little bit more subtle and still gotten the point across. But the point is that a bot is getting dizzy. I wouldn't think robots would get dizzy, right? They don't have like that inner ear mechanism to even get dizzy. But, I get it. It's a cartoon, haha, like, robots can get all dizzy. I get it. I just think overall that they over-exaggerated on the animation. They could have done the exact same animation, but like 1/4 of the intensity of like how much the bot is like leaning over to the sides, and it still would have been just a perfectly fine dizzy animation. I think this is a little bit too much. It looks like it's very destructive, but it doesn't seem the same thing as explosions, so I wonder if it does damage or just knocks you over. Anyway, next Totebot iteration is this guy. Oh my god, they even put a little shark fin on the back. So, a Totebot with flippers, clearly this is a water bot, right? But like, can't Totebots already swim on water? Like the green guys swim on top of the water just fine. As a matter of fact, all the bots are waterproof except for the hay bots. So what's different about this seems to be that it's just, it's like the bot that specifically goes underwater. I mean, I think the red farm bot also goes underwater after you, but he just sinks to the bottom. He treats everything like it's ground. This guy flies around underwater. Okay, again, introducing a new mechanic for players to deal with, a new game mechanic for, in relation to enemies. The first thing, though, that I'm noticing in this picture is the player is able to dodge every single attack. Like, this is not a threatening bot at all. This player is just doing a little dance, making work of this bot. It's silly. Oh, but then we got this picture of the same bot running on land with flippers. Okay, I think I gotta point out something here. First of all, people can't even run with flippers that well. And I had expected, a robot can do it better, but like the entire point of this robot was to be a water bot, right? So why is it so fast on land? Shouldn't it be much slower or like incapable of running on land? Because like that's what the other bots are for, right? The other bots are on land all the time. They can run on land. They're land creatures, robots. So if this one's a water robot, why would it be so slow underwater, but then so fast on land? Like, this seems opposites to me, especially in terms of, like, the whole game mechanic, like, you're supposed to watch out underwater. Why are you watching out for these guys on land? Anyway, next Totebot iteration is the explosive guy. We've seen some previews of this in previous devblogs. And here we can finally see the guy in action. It certainly seems to be based on the idea of a creeper. I don't play too much Minecraft, so I'm not super familiar with it, but I can obviously see the similarities here. The thing that I'm noticing, though, is that this guy's intense. Just kind of randomly notices you. I don't think he was even looking at you, but he just notices you and then just sprints to you. Like, this is one of the fastest bots I've seen. So already I can tell this is like a little bit different than a creeper because, again, I don't play too much Minecraft, but my understanding of creepers in Minecraft is that they creep up on you. This guy's definitely more like announcing a kamikaze attack and then just sprinting at you. So it's very different than a creeper. It does not actually creep up on you. Okay, here's another GIF of the same thing, but this one shows that the explosive bots don't actually get as close to the player as in the previous GIF. The previous GIF, the bot comes right up to the player, like right in front of you. Right up to your stuff, kaboom. But this one, it just decided to explode at a relatively long distance. Like, that's not really threatening. So again, I'm a little bit confused. Like, what's going on here with these different distances? I'm not sure. And the last GIF for this guy shows, my goodness, it looks like that they can be pretty devastating. Dude, they run fast, right? Like, they catch up to your vehicle like that and just destroy it all? That's devastating. Like, I think that's deadlier than a red farm bot. What the heck are these new... It's like, I understand you're introducing new game mechanics, but like, wowee, it's so all over the place. Just based on the GIFs that I've seen so far, I have no idea how the game, like the actual gameplay, is going to turn out. Next bot is an iteration on the tape bot. Looks like this guy, I think we've seen this guy before, just a lot of post-it notes and bubble wrap. So I guess they shoot bubble wrap, and maybe they're not going to be so lethal, because bubble wrap is lighter than tape rolls, I don't know. But it looks like these are the guys that are underground. In like the grow labs. that guy has way too many post-it notes. That again, I understand, like, a cartoony, haha, fun, but like I think they went just a teensy bit overboard. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. Next iteration on the tape bot looks like some kind of paint bot. Pretty cool looking model. I like that. Interesting colors for the goop. Kind of looks like a, rainbow colored oil spill type of thing. Oh, I see. Okay. So they basically took like all of the code that they already had for the trash bot and like the sticky wheels and stuff like that you'd have all this goo piled up on you. And then they just like recolored it for this guy. So it doesn't seem like this guy actually does any damage then. Maybe it does a little bit, I don't know, I can't tell from this picture, but it seems like the main purpose then is just to slow the player down. Like, that's the game mechanic. So like, in combination with like other tape bots, this guy can definitely make things a whole lot worse. Okay, now we're just getting shots of the underground grow lab stuff. Looks pretty, kind of like cyberpunk colors. Interesting vibes. That's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing to completely change the color palette when you're entering a new environment. So this is actually a good thing that I can finally point to now. This is a good thing that I can point to. Make the people feel like it's a new area. So changing the color palette of everything that the player sees on screen is one easy way to do that, to induce this feeling of, oh, I'm in an entirely new place. So this is going to give the player a different feeling about their environment, as opposed to being above ground, farming with water and trees and stuff. Alright, some more shots of the underground. I see there's a little water bot in some very shallow water there. Okay. Okay. Really? A water bot's gonna be there in the... Alright, whatever, man. Whatever. Alright, animated GIF of the underground area. Not a whole lot to see. I don't actually notice too much in these GIFs. Yeah, just more of the same stuff we've already seen. Very interesting facility. I'm kind of interested on like how this all fits together, so maybe we'll figure that out later. Alright, then we got this picture. I have no idea what this is. Is this like one of those grow lab facility things, like you can just plant 6 crops and grow it anywhere, or what? Doesn't really tell me what it is. I see the title down there says ore prospector, but I'm not reading any of the text, so probably something to do with like mineral refinement. I see the refine bot there in the back. Okay, next we got a GIF that just shows we're just looking at stuff through a window. And I think that's because the entire purpose of these GIFs is to show the latest visual effects that are being implemented into scrap mechanics. So you can see how the glass affects the colors of everything. You can see the road colors behind the colored glass. There is a yellow road, a red road, and a blue road. And you can also see the warping effects of the glass in front of the glow bug there. So some very interesting stuff. This is good in 2 ways. I think this is good in terms of increasing the visual quality of the game called Scrap Mechanic. Scrap Mechanic is going to appear to be a better quality game with more and more visual improvements like this. The second way that it's good is for mod makers and how exactly this glass warping material thing sort of works, and how mod makers can actually use it. For example, can we create different types of lenses in Scrap Mechanic? Like, I think it would be pretty easy for people that made the sniper rifle as a mod in Scrap Mechanic to add a little glass piece right on the scope. Even if the player doesn't actually look through it, it will still have a nifty effect. Oh yeah, just looking at this, I'm totally getting all kinds of mod ideas. Just with this one visual effect, there's so many different ideas that you can do for mods. So, it's definitely good to actually improve this stuff. However, I do think that there are other glaring issues with the game that should probably be taken care of first, especially if there's going to be a big release for Chapter 2, and there's going to be a bunch of new players rushing into the game. A visual effect like this should not really take priority, especially since not everyone's going to be running on the highest graphics settings. Some people won't even see this. Whereas, everyone that joins the game is going to see the issues like with multiplayer. Everyone's going to experience those multiplayer issues, regardless of their graphics capabilities. So I think something like that is a much more important issue to deal with, especially before a big release, as opposed to, improving visual effects. Visual effects is always a good thing to improve. It always increases the appearance of a quality game, but the experience has to be quality, not just the appearance. And then this picture, it shows some more stuff. I'm not exactly sure what this kind of craft bot is, or like what the station is exactly. I think this is one of those like quest areas. So you go over here and you get a quest. Oh, here we go. We're getting some pictures of the walk outfit. Looks like they went with the hooded design. And we get a Kern backpack. And that's the end of the devblog. Okay, so as far as just a picture album, that's a good devblog. That's a good devblog. Why did I not want to read any of the text? Alright, now let's go through the text. I'm going to pick out just the important bits of the text because the way that this devblog was written was kind of bad, but I'll get into that later. I know people are going to be interested in why I think that, but let's just go into the actual meat of the devblog, just taking a look at the important bits that they said. Basically, they're saying details from the next chapter, increasingly harder to do so without spoilers, blah blah blah. This devblog is just a bot reveal special. Yellow Toadbot stomps its way across the planet. No matter how many ceilings and floors, it has to smash in the process. That's all they really have to say about it? Okay. Blue Toadbot. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, offshore drilling, an underwater torpedo. It can also move fast enough on land to catch up with any mechanics that aggravate it. Yeah, okay. So it was intentional then. This was an intentional thing that they did. Make it completely useless underwater and actually threatening on land. No. I'm putting my foot down. I think this is a huge mistake. This is a water bot. It should be a water bot. It shouldn't be a land bot. It should be a water bot. Especially because there's so many different types of toad bots. Why does this one have to be in water and on land? You already have other toad bots to be on land. Just I feel like I have to send Axolot an entire tutorial on game design because, my goodness. I mean, look. Waterbot, it's a good idea. It's the implementation. It's the implementation of all their ideas. Oh my goodness, they can't figure it out. Anyway, what do they say about the red toad bot? We've teased this clanker before. They will ignite their payload before rushing at their target, and they won't stop, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're not really saying much. Originally designed to clear away mine shafts. So maybe you won't just find them randomly in the world. Maybe they're only going to be near the mine shaft areas, which kind of makes this explosive power a little bit better. But it also takes away from the creeper aspect. Creepers are all over the place in Minecraft, right? I don't know. Alright, what do they say about the green toad bot? Just wrap up fruits and veggies. Might not pack much of a punch by himself, but a bunch of them can ruin any mechanic's day. So they're just like a very weak tape bot. In other words, what tape bots should normally be. Alright, yellow tape bot. Okay, they even call this a yellow tape bot, even though there's no tape involved. This is not a tape bot, it's another kind of bot, like a paint bot. But whatever. Well, it's clearly an iteration on the tape bot design, so yellow tape bot. Printing labels, blah blah blah, a special 4-color ink. Yes. The visual effect is very nice. It's very pleasing to the eye. They did a good job at making the rainbow colored ink. The ink is used to hurt and slow down the mechanics, so it does do some damage. What? Okay, so the Grow Labs, what are they saying about the Grow Labs? They're basically little dungeons that offer exciting combat and some cool plunder at the end, blah 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 blah. So basically, it's an iteration on a previous idea, the warehouse. So this entire devblog is just iterations on previous ideas. Hey, we took an old idea and put a new spin on it, check it out. Alright, let's see what this ore prospector is. This is the first time I've seen ore prospector. Get more out of your ore. You know, okay, that finally one piece of writing that I can appreciate right there. It's so stupid though. Okay, automated crafting chains. Filter the finely ground gravel produced by the ore crusher in order to retrieve rare minerals like gold and more. Really, they're finally adding gold to the game. Is that really true? Is that really true? Gold is finally being added to the game. So then what does this mean for everything else? All the crafting recipes that are out there? Ugh. I'm excited that they're adding gold to the game, but I have this huge feeling of apprehension because like, oh my god, how is Axolot going to make this completely pointless? You know what I mean? I hope they implement gold into their game, all the recipes, and it's good. I can only hope for the best. Alright, what are they saying about the glass? They're pointing out that they have that new and improved lighting system. Elite team of graphics engineers. Seriously, you gotta stop with these writing quirks. Game's visuals, according to modern standards. Yeah, okay, so that's what I was pointing out. It's good that they're actually increasing the game's visual appearance. It gives a better impression of quality, a quality experience. But that's just visual. So they have a new glass shader, and that's just one of the graphical updates we've got in the works. Okay, oh, this is what this section was. General rebalance and item schematics. So they've been working hard on rebalancing survival mode's gameplay, specifically the crafting recipes, and how items are obtained during the course of the game. Okay. So the gameplay can flow better than ever before. Very promising words because Axolot really borked up on this specifically. So if they're saying these words, then they're acknowledging that they get it, and they're going to do a proper job of this. So I can't wait to see that actually create a good experience with their game. So this is good. This is good because they're actually acknowledging it now. The entire time, this has kind of been swept under the rug since the release of Survival Mode, and they didn't really understand how some of their updates just pushed people away from the game. So this exactly. Good. Good. Okay, and it looks like they're introducing something new called schematics, which is basically telling your craft bot how to make something. So your craft bot's not going to automatically know how to make everything. You're going to have to create a schematic to give to your craft bot, so then it can craft the thing. More on these later. Well, okay, no. I don't know if this was just a writing quirk, or they didn't really have anything to put in this section, but like, you could have just not put this at the end of this paragraph, and it would have been fine. Alright, so what did they say about the walk outfit? It's the wackiest outfit they've made. Might not be up to profession regulation standards, but it is a welcome change from all that stuffy work gear. What do you think? Will you rock this outfit? Blah, blah, blah. I think, A, everybody's going to like this outfit. It's a nice outfit. B, I think everybody's gonna rock the outfit because it's been so long since there's been any content updates, people are just in general starved. So anytime that there's a new outfit released when people are so like thirsty for content, I think everybody's gonna rush to the new outfit, and then the new outfit's gonna get old very quickly because everyone's using it all at the same time. I think the game experience would have been very different if all of the existing outfits, including this walk outfit, were released all at the same time as one giant release for customization outfits. Having too few options for players to personalize really makes the outfits get stale over time, right? So this is a good outfit. I think people are gonna wear it a few months max before it starts to get stale, and they just choose something else that is probably a little bit closer to what they want to represent themselves as. In other words, every new outfit is going to be a fad just because of how starved players are of content. But if we're talking about making a good outfit for all the players of Scrap Mechanic over the entire history of Scrap Mechanic for the rest of time, then I think that outfits need to be made a little bit more generic and universal. So there are a lot of t-shirts that can be mixed and matched with other stuff, but there's not a whole lot of pants that can go with all of those t-shirts. There's only like a very few set of pants before the character starts to look a little bit weird, right? With these different mix and matched options. Again, I think that, every now and then, an interesting outfit from the developers is always a good thing, but I don't think that it's necessarily time to invest in this whole customization thing. I think this is a little bit messy, and they're kind of stumbling over themselves. Anyway, the final paragraph says, next chapter update, don't have an exact release date, blah blah blah, turn into a behemoth of an update with a ton of new content. It will be worth the wait, they say. They're very confident in saying it will be worth the wait. This is actually very bold of Axolot to even be saying this, because it wasn't worth the wait for chapter 1, so they're showing their confidence. This is good. I want to see that. I want to see that it's going to be worth the wait. We know that it can be frustrating and boring, but blah, blah, blah. But we have to make sure it's great. That's it for this Devblog mechanics. Stay tuned for the next one. Click like and subscribe. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, so... Okay, so if you noticed, I went through all the text and just tried to pick out the important bits, because the writing of this devblog and a lot of other devblogs are just awful. My goodness, these guys do not know how to write a devblog. Unbearable. I couldn't make it past the first 2 sentences because, well, I'm gonna have to go into a whole thing about devblogs, but honestly, this devblog, to me, looks like it was written by ChatGPT or something, and it gives off the impression that they're just completely out of touch and they don't understand the greater context of, you know, how Devblog 25, even if they write an amazing devblog with, you know, many, they're trying to be very relatable with all these different writing quirks, could be a very good thing if it was like the first devblog years ago. But in the greater context of years of players being very frustrated with this game's development, a lot of this quirky writing just comes across as patronizing. Like, just a condescending tone of, "We're back, mechanics. Yeah, aren't you excited?" Like, yes, you know we've been waiting for this. Like, you don't have to do this whole song and like, you excited? You excited? Like, oh my god. And then this, after spending the last few months in the content mines, like, my goodness, they're creating a narrative just for writing a devblog. How about create a narrative for your game? Why is the mechanic even crashing on the planet, let alone just landing on it normally? Like, create that narrative. No, again, no offense to anyone on the internet, but generally speaking, players don't care about the developers of the game. Players buy the game, they play it and have fun, they like it if they like the game, they don't choose to like or dislike the game because of who made it. You understand? Trying to appeal to your audience, and I understand 100% why Axolot's doing this too, because, again, the greater context of how people are very frustrated with the game, it makes sense that they would try to write their devblog in a way that is appealing or like, you know, relatable. But the feeling that I got when I read the first 2 sentences was the exact same feeling that I get when you look at an old person that's trying to use slang words to seem cool to a younger generation. Well, like, when you get that feeling, it's because the old person has no idea of the context of why that slang word even is a slang word. And it's very obvious to everyone else around them that the only reason why they're using the word is to appeal to others that they are cool and with it, which defeats the purpose entirely of using the word. Because when somebody who is genuinely using the slang terms in a cool way, then they're using it to communicate with other people that understand the slang terms. They're not using it to portray themselves in any way to anybody else. They're not trying to make themselves seem cool just for using the word. But when you get that cringe feeling, it's because it's very obvious that somebody is old, just trying, they're going out of their way to use that word because they've identified it as, oh, this is the thing that's gonna make me seem cool. They've completely abandoned the point of using the word then at that point, right? They might as well just go up to a person and just say, hey, I'm cool. You think I'm cool now, right? It's just as cringe. What it comes down to is basically that the person is completely out of touch. You know, they end up getting the wrong idea about what they're supposed to do to get the results that they want to get. And that's the impression that I get with the writing of these devblogs, and it's been getting worse and worse with each devblog. So I think Axolot might not understand why some of their tweets and devblogs are not received with the utmost positivity. I mean, there's definitely positivity, there's definitely gonna be hype, people are definitely thirsty for content, so any sneak peek or any little thing that the developers give, people are gonna be like, oh my god, thank you, finally. But it's hard to appreciate at that point, right? It's hard to appreciate if people are so starved. If it's just a little bit hungry and you give them a meal, then they're going to appreciate it a lot more. Gee, thanks for the meal. But if you're starving them for so long and they're hungry and they're hungry and they're hungry and they're hungry, and then you finally give them something, they can only think it's about goddamn time. It's not. It's hard to be thankful for something like that when you have sort of purposely starved your own audience like that. I don't think Axolot realizes that this writing style is exactly the thing that is kind of off-putting to their own audience. And this has been going on for every single devblog and only getting worse and worse. So to put it in perspective, they always do this kind of like story writing thing for their development journey, right? After spending the last few months in the content mines, we said content mines. So looking at the very first devblog for comparison. So if you take a look at previous devblogs, you're gonna see the exact same writing style that's always been there, maybe just not so intense about it. Like, for example, you can see that the character improvements, they go on about like grooming, making sure he's looking nice. This is all just writing styles. All the same thing, the exact same thing that we've been seeing from Axolot for years, including a little cliffhanger right at the end. So like, they're following a formula for writing a very specific way. The interesting part though is how again, every devblog is going to have, hey, we're working on visual improvements. Hey, we're working on some more visual improvements. We're visually improving the game. And then they actually had this. Progress on multiplayer has been going smoothly. There's a bit of work left, but it's slowly getting where it's supposed to be. Can you imagine they said that in Devblog 1? Now we're at 25, and oh man. And then they even said this too. They said so many things in previous devblogs, but introduction videos. They were working on a series of videos that would introduce you to all very useful items that you can find in Scrap Mechanic. Yet, the Scrap Mechanic channel has not been producing videos. Anyway, my point was just to show the similarities and differences between all of the previous devblogs and this one. It's like the developers are completely unaware of the previous 6 years that their own players have been following, right? They're treating this, again, this would make a good Devblog 1. How they wrote this would be okay if everyone was fresh and new to the game. But it comes across as patronizing when you're saying things like, oh, we've been spending the last few months in the content mines, blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody cares about how you see your own little fantasy narrative about you developing your game when they're waiting desperately. Just freaking update the game already. People don't care if it's a small update or a big update, some level of like consistency. So anyway, I want to just make it very clear, my overall impression of the devblog is, number one, if they just dropped just a picture album, that would have been a pretty decent devblog. As a matter of fact, I think that would have been received more positively than the current devblog post. Yes, there would have been people that said, oh, they couldn't even say anything, they couldn't even put a little bit of text. Still, I think measurably it would be more positive than the current devblog. Out of all of the text that there was, they could have just gotten to the point. They could have just said exactly what was in the picture, what they needed to say, just the small point without the extra fluff around the point being made. People are starved and thirsty for content. Don't make them jump through extra hoops just to get to the point of what you're trying to say. Just get to the point immediately. Do everyone a favor, just get to the point, right? If there's going to be text in a devblog, just do jot notes. Just do the little point by point, make your point. That's it. Numbers 1 and 2, I'm saying it's a good devblog. But number 3, all this extra writing style and fluff makes the devblog worse than it needs to be. It doesn't have to be this bad. And there's other reasons why the devblog is bad too, because they're showing some new game mechanics, like all these bots, and how they're like incredibly destructive, wacky, they have different mechanics. This water bot is useless underwater, but lethal on ground. And this guy, right? They're showing all of these brand new mechanics that are going to be interacting with the player and each other, and then they're also promising a general rebalance and that the gameplay can flow better than ever before. So like, I'm really apprehensive. Like, I don't believe you, Axolot. I really just don't believe you. Historically speaking, you've been terrible for balancing your own game. It's a terrible experience, and you've made it worse with some updates. So adding all of these different new mechanics only makes your job of creating a nice experience even more complicated. You have more variables to balance. And my God, I would not ask you to do that because you can't. Like, whatever. Fine. Show me how it's done, Axolot. Show me how it's done. I want to see your attempt at balancing your own game. My goodness. Adding new outfits to the game is not a bad thing. However, I'm talking about the strategy of like publishing all these different things for the game. I think players could have gone without customized outfits for a while now. I think the only reason why customized outfits were pushed into the game as early as it was because of mod makers creating customized outfits as mods, as file mods for the game. So now that the game actually supports customized outfits, there's a format that the game can actually read for customized outfits. However, it would have been a smarter strategy to just wait, create the outfits when you create them, but put them in a folder somewhere, and then release like 50 outfits all at once with a big, hey, now you can, customize your outfit, and we're also adding mod support for custom outfits, blah, blah, blah. The outfit customization update could have been just its own update by itself, and people would have been going nuts over that. But instead, the strategy seems to be publishing a single outfit after months at a time, just like one by one by one. It seems like Axolot's strategy is to treat like all of the outfits that the game's scrap mechanic is ever going to have, and they're spreading out the release of all these outfits one by one because they somehow maybe think that it's like optimizing the total amount of hype that the game is generating from these outfits. So if they release one every few months, they get a little bit of hype, a little bit of hype, a little bit of hype, a little bit of hype. More and more people talk about it very slowly. My proposal for a different strategy was to not release any of those things, which, yes, is bad to starve players of content, but there would be other updates during that time. Okay, I'm talking about a different strategy to publish all of the things in the game's scrap mechanics. So separating outfits entirely and then pushing it as an outfit update, a lot of content all at once, and that's going to generate a lot of excitement, a lot of positive excitement, a lot of positive ways that people can say, hey, this update actually gave us a lot of stuff. Sort of what Axolot's trying to do with Chapter 2, but it's a huge risk that they're taking because they're trying to do everything all at once. I just can't believe that Axolot's like holding firm on this thing that has not succeeded for them even once. And I think just in general, the point that everyone wants to make to Axolot is everyone, and I mean everyone, old players, new players, literally everyone, would prefer smaller updates working up to the release of Scrap Mechanic Chapter 2. You don't have to give us like quests and things like that, or you could, but like they could be secondary quests, right? You could release all of these different game mechanics without releasing your precious big release survival mode. This is a good way to do it because players can give you your feedback. They can tell you the technical problems that they encounter. They can tell you any other reasons why these new updates push them away from the game. There's several reasons why smaller, more frequent updates are better for the game's publicity. As much as Axolot might think that they're doing the best option for publishing their game, I think that it's kind of setting themselves up, not necessarily for failure, but like they're definitely trying to like sprint uphill, and they're setting themselves up for tripping over themselves. How these devblogs are written that give them an impression that they're like kind of out of touch with their own player base, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help that it gives the impression that they're out of touch with how the release of Chapter 2 is going to go, and it's going to hit them hard when when reality hits. Again, what else are we supposed to do? We don't really have a way to give any feedback, we don't have any way to give any suggestions, we don't have any way to talk to Axolot, we just have to let them do what they do. It's all on them. It's literally nobody else's fault but Axolot's. They're the ones that made the mistake by updating Chapter 1 to be unplayable for a lot of people, and then they wonder why, hey, our game was, had 40,000 players one week, and then the next week it's down to 5,000. Gee, why did that happen? It's not because of our updates, clearly. Like, Axolot is just out of touch, man. There's just one more thing that I would like to point out with Axolot's writing style. It's a lot like when somebody uses a phrase way too much, a phrase like, I promise. Because when a person uses that, they think they're doing something good and comforting somebody else in their time of need. Like being there for them and saying the words, I promise I'm gonna fix this or make it right or whatever. But that is setting themselves up for failure in several different ways. Like what if they don't make it better? All they did was give somebody hope, only to have it be crushed later. So whether or not that was even intentional doesn't matter because it removes all of the value from the words that were spoken earlier. I promise. And the person is only priming themselves to get into a habit of doing this, because they recognize it as something that improves the immediate situation with how people feel. Except that this is bad too, because now they are more likely to utter those words even when they aren't supposed to. This means responding to everything with, I promise I'll make it better, even if it's something completely out of your control, which basically means a broken promise since the time it was formed. So, the next time they say that they promise anything, Does it carry the same value as the first time it did? Next time they make a promise, especially after having broken one, do you even believe that they can keep that promise? Do you think they even believe that they can keep their own promise? Or is it more and more obvious that they are just saying that in an attempt to put you at ease? There's no promise there to actually be made, they don't want to actually promise anything, but they identified the sequence of words to say to be the character they think you want them to be. And that is precisely how a well-written devblog can be well-written all by itself, but in the context of being number 25, it has no value, nowhere close to what it used to. The writing style that's used to appeal to the audience only comes across as condescending for the same reason that someone saying "I promise" is more insulting than anything else. Typically somebody saying that would be a good thing, but it's very possible for somebody to be so out of touch they don't see how they are effectively doing the opposite using the same words. Axolot Games writes terrible devblogs since the beginning. They have never once seen a devblog for what it should be, and I genuinely believe when Axolot is writing these blogs, they are imagining in their heads people's reactions rather than just focusing on transferring the information to us. Just like when somebody's being cringe and they don't know why, they are focused on how they appear with their words, much more than what the value of those words even mean to the readers. So I guess it makes sense that Axolot is never going to understand, because they never did, and never tried to. So 25 devblogs all written in the same way, giving the same impression, only to never meet those expectations set. It's pretty safe to assume all the words in these devblogs have no meaning whatsoever, and you're just gonna have to wait like everybody else for the update so that you can see it for yourself. So devblogs, congratulations on making yourselves completely ineffective as a means of promotion. Congratulations, Axolot, you really did it. But as somebody that likes the game and has been following its development the entire time, I am excited to see the final product. I hope it is good. That is really all that I can do. So that's my take on Devblog 25. The comment sections are 100% open for you guys. You know, lash out at me if you want to. Tell me I was wrong at some point. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree, disagree. If I missed anything, please do let me know. If you think that I, have a bad take on something, or I'm just straight up wrong on something, please tell me in the comments. It's not an argument, it's not a fight, it's not a debate. I want to know. But yeah, that's my take on Devblog 25. Like and subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.